In the small town of Willowbrook, humble and respected Black Chief Surgeon Amelia Bennett confronts deep-seated racism and systemic bias while striving to unify her community. Tensions escalate during a town hall meeting over police misconduct, revealing corruption within the local force. Amelia faces hostility and prejudice from officers like Thompson and Daniels, who undermine her efforts for transparency and justice. As she gathers crucial evidence with whistleblower Rachel Simmons, Amelia battles both overt discrimination and subtle microaggressions, highlighting the pervasive injustice that threatens to divide the town and challenge her mission for equality. The sun was just beginning to dip below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the quaint streets of Willowbrook. Nestled between a bustling downtown and serene suburban neighborhoods, Willowbrook was the epitome of small-town charm. Main Street was lined with family-owned businesses, each with its own unique character and history. It was the kind of place where everyone knew your name, your favorite coffee order, and even your grandmother's secret pie recipe. Amelia Bennett stood outside the Willowbrook Diner, the place she frequented every morning before heading to her evening shifts at the local hospital. At 52, Amelia was a prominent figure in Willowbrook, not just because she was the town's chief surgeon, but also because of her unwavering commitment to the community. Her office, located in the heart of the town, was a modest space adorned with photos of her family and certificates that highlighted her illustrious career. Despite her success and the respect she commanded in the medical field, Amelia preferred a life of humility and simplicity. She adjusted the brim of her hat, a simple accessory that contrasted sharply with her professional attire. Amelia believed in blending in. Avoiding the spotlight that her position often thrust her into. Her home was no different. A cozy, unassuming house on Maple Street, filled with the laughter of her children and the comforting aroma of homemade meals. As she pushed open the door to the diner, the familiar jingle of the bell above the entrance welcomed her. The diner was a hub of activity, with locals chatting over coffee and plates of pancakes being served with practiced ease. Amelia greeted the owner, Joe Ramirez, with a warm smile and a nod. "Evening, Joe. The usual, please," she requested, taking a seat at her favorite corner booth, where she could observe the room without drawing attention. Joe, a middle-aged man with a perpetual twinkle in his eye, nodded back. "You got it, Amelia. Anything special today?" She shook her head gently. "Just the regular, thanks." As she waited for her meal, Amelia glanced around the diner. The walls were adorned with memorabilia, old photographs of Willowbrook events, newspaper clippings celebrating local achievements, and a bulletin board filled with community announcements. It was a place where stories intertwined, friendships were forged, and everyone felt a sense of belonging. Amelia's presence was a testament to the town's diversity and progress. As a Black woman in a predominantly white town, she had faced her share of challenges, but her integrity, expertise, and genuine care for her patients had earned her the unwavering trust of Willowbrook's residents. She was more than just a surgeon. She was a mentor, a confidant, and a pillar of strength for many. Tonight, however, the air felt different. There was an undercurrent of tension that Amelia couldn't quite place. She noticed subtle glances exchanged between patrons and an uneasy silence that seemed to settle over the room. Shrugging it off as the usual end-of-day fatigue, she turned her attention to the menu, ready to enjoy a quiet meal before her shift. The door swung open again, and a group of young men walked in, their laughter filling the space. They headed straight for the counter, ordering burgers and fries with animated chatter. Amelia watched them for a moment, recognizing a few from the local high school. Their carefree demeanor was a stark contrast to the tension she felt lingering in the air. As she sipped her coffee, contemplating the evening ahead, Joe approached her with her order. "Here you go, Amelia. Anything else I can get for you tonight?" She smiled appreciatively. "No, this is perfect, thanks, Joe." As Amelia began to eat, her thoughts wandered to the hospital. The night shift was always demanding, but she thrived on the challenge. Saving lives, comforting families, and making critical decisions were all part of her daily routine. Yet, tonight, there was a nagging sense of unease she couldn't shake. Just as she was about to take another bite, the diner's door opened abruptly. A tall man in a crisp suit entered, exuding an air of authority. Amelia watched as he approached the counter, his presence commanding immediate attention. He was well dressed, with a confident stride that suggested he was accustomed to being in charge. "Good evening," he greeted Joe, who responded with a respectful nod. "I'm looking for someone." Amelia's curiosity was piqued. "Looking for who, Joe?" Joe glanced toward the man, and then back at Amelia. "He's here to see Mrs. Thompson, the town's mayor." Amelia felt a flicker of recognition. Mayor Thompson was a well-respected figure, known for her progressive policies and dedication to improving Willowbrook. The presence of this man, however, seemed out of place. Before Amelia could inquire further, the man turned his gaze toward her. Their eyes met, and she felt a strange mix of familiarity and uncertainty. There was something about him that stirred a deep-seated memory, but she couldn't quite place it. "Amelia Bennett," he said, extending his hand. His grip was firm, and his voice carried a tone of both respect and authority. "I'm Marcus Hayes. We haven't met formally, but I've heard a lot about you." Amelia took a moment to process his introduction. Marcus Hayes was a name that rang a bell, but the specifics eluded her. "Nice to meet you, Marcus. What brings you to Willowbrook tonight?" He smiled, a gesture that seemed genuine. "I'm here on behalf of the Willowbrook Foundation. We're hosting a fundraiser next month to support local healthcare initiatives, and we'd love to have your support." Amelia appreciated the offer, but something about Marcus felt heavier, laden with unspoken intentions. "I'd be happy to help, Marcus. How can I assist?" Before he could respond, a commotion erupted at the entrance. A group of teenagers, led by a particularly outspoken boy named Tyler, burst into the diner. Their energy was high, and their voices were loud, immediately disrupting the calm atmosphere. "What's up, guys?" Joe called out, trying to maintain order. Tyler, a tall teen with a rebellious streak, approached the counter with a defiant glare. "We need to talk to Mayor Thompson now." Amelia observed the exchange, sensing the underlying tension. She knew that Tyler and his friends often caused minor disturbances, but tonight felt different. The way Tyler's eyes darted toward Marcus suggested a deeper issue at play. Marcus noticed the tension as well. He leaned in closer to Amelia, his expression serious. "It seems there's some unrest brewing tonight. Do you know what's going on?" Amelia shook her head. "Not exactly, but it feels like something's about to happen." Tyler's voice rose above the chatter. "We demand better representation for our community. It's time our voices are heard." The room fell silent, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Mayor Thompson, who had been conversing with Marcus moments before, stepped forward to address the group. "Tyler, let's discuss this calmly. What exactly are your concerns?" she asked, her tone measured and composed. Tyler took a deep breath, his eyes locking onto Marcus's. "It's about fairness and respect. We're tired of being overlooked and undervalued in our own town." Amelia felt a knot form in her stomach. The themes Tyler was bringing up, representation, respect, fairness, resonated deeply with her own experiences. She glanced at Marcus, who seemed equally affected by the confrontation. Marcus stepped forward, his demeanor calm, yet assertive. "Tyler, I understand where you're coming from, but creating a positive change requires open dialogue and cooperation." Tyler scoffed, crossing his arms defiantly. "Easy for you to say, Marcus. You've got everything going for you. We're the ones who have to fight for every opportunity." Amelia's heart ached at the young man's words. She knew all too well the challenges of being a black woman in a position of authority, navigating systemic biases and societal expectations. Yet, seeing Tyler's frustration laid bare brought back memories of her own struggles, the times she felt marginalized despite her accomplishments. Mayor Thompson placed a reassuring hand on Tyler's shoulder. "We're here to listen and make necessary changes. Let's work together to create a more inclusive Willowbrook." As the discussion continued, Amelia found herself drawn into the conversation, her presence lending a weight that went beyond her role as a diner patron. She felt an urge to speak, to bridge the gap between generations and perspectives. "Tyler," she began softly, standing up from her booth. "I've been in a similar position before. It's not easy feeling like you have to fight for what's rightfully yours, but I believe we can find common ground." Tyler looked at her skeptically, but there was a flicker of recognition in his eyes. "And what makes you think that, Ms. Bennett? You've got a fancy job and all, but how do we know you understand where we're coming from?" Amelia took a deep breath, meeting his gaze with unwavering sincerity. because I've faced my own battles with being underestimated and overlooked. Success doesn't erase the struggles we've endured, but together, we can create a Willowbrook that honors everyone's contributions." The room was silent for a moment, the tension palpable. Marcus watched the exchange, sensing the delicate balance Amelia was trying to maintain. Tyler seemed to waver, the initial defiance giving way to contemplation. Mayor Thompson seized the moment. "Let's organize a town hall meeting next week. We need everyone's input to make meaningful changes." Tyler nodded slowly, the defiance in his stance softening. "Fine. But I want to see real action, not just talk." Amelia smiled gently. "That's all we can ask for, Tyler. Let's take this step together." As the meeting began to wind down, Amelia returned to her booth, the weight of the evening settling on her shoulders. She knew that the path ahead was fraught with challenges, but the sparks of understanding and the willingness to listen gave her hope. Marcus approached her, his expression thoughtful. "You handled that well," he remarked quietly. "Not everyone would have the same patience and empathy." Amelia shrugged modestly. "It's all about understanding each other. We've all got our struggles, our stories. If we can share them, maybe we can find solutions together." Marcus nodded, a hint of admiration in his eyes. "You're right. It's a tough road, but having people like you in the community makes a difference." Amelia felt a sense of solidarity, knowing that change was possible when people came together with open hearts and minds. As she finished her meal and prepared to leave, she glanced back at the diner, now filled with lingering conversations and newfound connections. The night was just beginning, and Willowbrook was on the cusp of something transformative. Stepping out into the cool evening air, Amelia felt a renewed sense of purpose. The challenges of tomorrow would require resilience and unity, but she was ready to face them head-on. With each step she took towards her home, she carried the hope that Willowbrook could evolve into a place where every voice was heard and every individual was valued. The following morning dawned crisp and clear, the first signs of winter brushing the town with a frosty edge. Amelia Bennett arrived at Willowbrook Hospital earlier than usual, her mind still lingering on the events of the previous evening. The diner's confrontation had stirred something within her, a mix of determination and unease that she couldn't quite place. As she walked through the hospital's sliding glass doors, the familiar scent of antiseptic and the hum of fluorescent lights greeted her. The halls were bustling with activity, nurses moving swiftly between rooms, doctors discussing cases, and patients awaiting consultations. Despite the chaos, Amelia moved with purposeful grace, her presence commanding respect without demanding it. In her office, adorned with personal touches like family photos and a few cherished awards, Amelia settled into her desk, ready to tackle the day's challenges. Her phone buzzed, displaying a message from Marcus. "Looking forward to the town hall meeting next week. Let me know if you need any support." She appreciated his outreach, recognizing that their initial encounter was the beginning of something meaningful. Amelia's thoughts were interrupted by the ringing of her office phone. She answered promptly, maintaining her usual calm demeanor. "Amelia Bennett, how can I help you?" On the other end was Officer Daniels, the local police chief, known for his authoritative presence and no-nonsense attitude. Amelia had interacted with him before, always finding him professional yet somewhat detached. "Good morning, Dr. Bennett," he began, his tone formal. "I'm calling regarding a situation that occurred last night at the diner." Amelia's heart skipped a beat. "Yes, I'm aware of the incident. How can I assist?" Officer Daniels sighed, the weight of his responsibilities evident in his voice. "There have been reports of disturbances related to the fundraiser. Some individuals are expressing strong opinions about the community initiatives you're spearheading." Amelia nodded, though Daniels couldn't see her. "I understand there are differing viewpoints. My goal is to foster collaboration and support for Willowbrook." "There's more," Daniels continued, a hint of frustration seeping into his words. "Some of the locals are questioning your involvement, suggesting that your presence here isn't entirely welcome. There have been whispers about favoritism and undue influence within the hospital's administration." Amelia felt a pang of defensiveness, but kept her voice steady. "I assure you, my role here is to provide the best possible care for our community. My efforts are aimed at benefiting everyone, without bias." Officer Daniels hesitated before responding. I just wanted to make you aware of the sentiments brewing. It might be wise to address these concerns publicly to prevent any escalation." Amelia thanked him and ended the call, her mind racing. She had always navigated her position with humility, but it seemed her efforts to integrate were being misconstrued. The thought of facing open resistance was unsettling, yet she remained resolute in her commitment to Willowbrook. Later that morning, Amelia conducted her rounds, visiting patients and consulting with her medical team. Her professionalism was impeccable, her compassion evident in every interaction. Yet beneath the surface, she grappled with the growing tension that seemed to permeate the town. During her lunch break, Amelia decided to visit the diner again, hoping to find solace in the familiar environment. As she walked through the sliding doors, the same jingle greeted her, and she spotted Joe behind the counter, preparing a fresh pot of coffee. "Morning, Amelia," Joe greeted her with a warm smile. "Care for a slice of pie? We just baked a fresh batch." She smiled back, appreciating the gesture. "I'd love one, thank you." Amelia settled into her usual corner booth, savoring the comforting flavors of apple pie and rich coffee. As she took a bite, her eyes wandered around the room, noting the subtle shifts in the atmosphere. Conversations were more hushed, and she caught snippets of uneasy exchanges between patrons. Just then, Mayor Thompson approached her table, her expression a mix of concern and determination. "Amelia, do you have a moment?" Amelia nodded, gesturing for the mayor to sit. "Of course, Mayor Thompson. What's on your mind?" The mayor sighed, pulling up a chair. "I wanted to discuss the feedback we're receiving about the fundraiser and your initiatives. There's a lot of support, but also significant pushback. People are feeling unheard and marginalized." Amelia listened intently, her heart aching at the realization that her efforts were causing unintended friction. "I understand, Mayor. My intention has always been to support and uplift our community. If there are concerns, I want to address them." Before the mayor could respond, Tyler and his group of friends entered the diner, their presence immediately noticeable. Tyler's defiant glare met Amelia's, and she felt a surge of unease. He approached their table with his friends trailing behind him, their bodies tense with unspoken grievances. "Dr. Bennett," Tyler began, his voice loud enough to draw attention. "We need to talk." Amelia remained calm, her posture composed despite the rising tension. "Of course, Tyler. What can I do for you?" Tyler glanced around, ensuring the other patrons were watching. "You and your so-called initiatives are just a cover-up. You think money and fancy titles make you better than the rest of us, but all you do is push us aside." Amelia took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "Tyler, that's not my intention at all. I want to provide better healthcare and support for everyone in Willowbrook. If something I've done has made you feel excluded, I'm truly sorry." Tyler scoffed, crossing his arms defiantly. "Sorry doesn't change the fact that you're part of the problem. You think you can just buy your way into our good graces, but we see through that." Amelia felt a flicker of anger, but kept her voice steady. "I understand your frustration, Tyler, but excluding me or dismissing my efforts won't solve anything. Let's work together to find solutions that benefit everyone." The tension in the diner was palpable, eyes darting between Amelia, Tyler, and the mayor. Mayor Thompson stepped in, her presence commanding attention. "Tyler, let's not escalate this further. Amelia is here to help, not hinder." Tyler glanced at the mayor, then back at Amelia. "You say that, but actions speak louder than words. We want to see real change, not just empty promises." Amelia nodded, her resolve strengthening. "I agree. Let's set up a meeting where we can discuss your concerns in detail and find actionable steps to address them." Tyler hesitated, the defiance in his stance wavering slightly. "Fine, but don't think we're backing down." As Tyler and his group left the diner, the air seemed to lighten slightly, though the underlying tension remained. Mayor Thompson placed a reassuring hand on Amelia's shoulder. "You handled that well, Amelia. It takes a lot of courage to face such criticism head-on." Amelia managed a small smile, though her thoughts were a whirlwind of emotions. "Thank you, Mayor. I just want what's best for Willowbrook." Returning to her office, Amelia sat down, the weight of the day pressing down on her. She reflected on the interaction with Tyler, the pushback against her initiatives, and the realization that her efforts to integrate and support the community were met with resistance rooted in deeper systemic issues. Her phone buzzed again, this time with a message from Marcus. Town hall meeting went well, but we need to be prepared for more resistance. Let me know if you need anything. She appreciated his ongoing support, recognizing that the journey toward unity was just beginning. As the afternoon progressed, Amelia was called to the emergency wing. A multi-car accident had occurred on the outskirts of town, and the hospital was inundated with patients. The chaos of the emergency room contrasted sharply with the calm she had tried to maintain in the diner. Amelia moved through the ER with practiced efficiency, coordinating with her team to stabilize the injured. Amidst the frenzy, she noticed a young black man being rushed in, his face bruised and bloodied. His clothes were torn, and he struggled to breathe, clutching his side in pain. "Call a trauma team and prep for surgery," Amelia ordered, her voice calm but authoritative. She moved to his side, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "I'm Amelia, I'm going to take care of you." The man looked up, fear evident in his eyes. "Please, I need help, I don't know what happened." Amelia examined his injuries, noting the severity of the lacerations and the possible internal damage. "You're going to be okay, we're here to help you." As she prepared for surgery, Amelia couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The man's name tag read, Jordan Ellis, a name she vaguely recognized from previous hospital interactions. As she worked, snippets of conversations and memories flashed through her mind. Jordan had been a promising student, a young man with dreams of becoming an engineer before his life took a tragic turn. Amelia's thoughts were interrupted by Officer Daniels entering the OR, his expression serious. "Dr. Bennett, we need to talk." She glanced at him briefly, keeping her focus on Jordan. "Not now, officer. I'm in the middle of a surgery." Daniels hesitated, then leaned against the doorway. "I understand, but this is urgent." Amelia took a deep breath, maintaining her professionalism. "What is it?" "There's been an investigation into the accident. Preliminary reports suggest foul play. We need you to provide any information you might have about Jordan Ellis." Amelia's heart raced, the stress of the day converging into a single overwhelming moment. "Jordan was brought in from the scene he was injured, but I don't have any other information. What exactly are you looking for?" Daniels glanced at her, his expression softening slightly. "We're just trying to piece together what happened. If you've interacted with him before, or know anything about his background, it could help our investigation." Amelia shook her head, her mind still focused on the surgery. "I don't have any additional information. My priority right now is to save his life." Daniels nodded, understanding her stance. "I just wanted to let you know, if you think of anything, please contact me." As Daniels left, Amelia returned her attention to Jordan, the gravity of the situation sinking in. She worked diligently, her hands steady despite the turmoil within her. Hours passed in a blur of medical procedures and critical decisions, but finally, Jordan's vitals stabilized, and the surgery concluded successfully. Exhausted, Amelia leaned back in her chair, her body aching from the long day. She took a moment to collect herself, her thoughts racing back to the diner and the brewing conflict. The incident with Tyler had highlighted the deep-seated issues within Willowbrook, issues that went beyond simple misunderstandings or miscommunications. Her phone buzzed again, this time with a notification from the hospital's internal messaging system. "Emergency meeting at 6 p.m., all department heads required." Amelia sighed, the weight of her responsibilities pressing down on her once more. As she prepared to leave, Amelia reflected on the duality of her life. By day, she was Willowbrook's respected chief surgeon, saving lives and providing care with unwavering dedication. By night, she was a quiet force for change, navigating the complex social dynamics of a community, grappling with its own prejudices and biases. The dual roles required her to constantly balance professionalism with empathy, strength with humility. Walking through the hospital's sliding doors into the cool evening air, Amelia felt a pang of frustration mixed with determination. The town's growing unrest was a reflection of the broader systemic challenges that many communities faced across the country. She knew that addressing Willowbrook's issues would require more than just medical expertise. It would require active participation, open dialogue, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. As she made her way to the hospital's conference room for the emergency meeting, Amelia couldn't help but feel the mounting pressure of her position. The upcoming town hall meeting loomed large, and she knew that resolving the community's tensions would be no small feat. The stakes were high, not just for her career, but for the very fabric of Willowbrook's unity and progress. Entering the conference room, Amelia was greeted by the stern faces of the hospital's board members and other department heads. Mayor Thompson was already present, her expression grave. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," Mayor Thompson began, her voice steady. "We're facing a critical situation that requires immediate attention. The incident at the diner has sparked significant unrest within the community, and we need to address it head-on." Amelia nodded, her mind racing with possible solutions. "I agree. We need to create a platform where community members can voice their concerns and work together to find common ground." Officer Daniels spoke up, his tone respectful yet firm. "We've been receiving reports of increased tensions and potential conflicts in the area. It's imperative that we handle this delicately to prevent any further escalation." Amelia took a deep breath, her thoughts aligning with the mayor's. "Perhaps the town hall meeting can serve as a starting point. We can facilitate open discussions, mediate conflicts, and establish a framework for ongoing dialogue and cooperation." Mayor Thompson smiled appreciatively. "That's a good start. We need to ensure that everyone feels heard and respected. It's essential for the healing and progress of our community." As the meeting continued, Amelia felt a sense of purpose solidifying within her. She had always believed in the power of community and the importance of understanding and empathy. Now more than ever, she knew that her role extended beyond the hospital walls. She was a bridge between different factions of Willowbrook, tasked with fostering unity and addressing the underlying issues that threatened to divide them. Leaving the meeting, Amelia felt a renewed sense of determination. She knew the road ahead would be challenging, fraught with obstacles and resistance, but she was ready to face it head-on. As she walked back to her car, she glanced up at the night sky. The first stars beginning to twinkle above Willowbrook was her home, and she was committed to ensuring it remained a place where everyone felt valued and respected. Later that evening, Amelia attended the town hall meeting, a room filled with a diverse group of Willowbrook's residents. The atmosphere was charged, a mix of anticipation and apprehension hanging in the air. Mayor Thompson took the stage, her presence commanding, yet approachable. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice resonating through the room. "We're here to address the concerns that have been raised and work together towards a more inclusive and supportive community." Amelia stood up, her heart pounding but her demeanor calm. "I'm Amelia Bennett, the town's chief surgeon. I want to start by acknowledging the frustrations and challenges many of you are facing. My goal is to listen, understand, and collaborate with each of you to make Willowbrook a place where everyone feels welcome and valued." She scanned the room, meeting the eyes of several attendees, including Tyler. "I believe that through open dialogue and mutual respect, we can overcome the obstacles that divide us and build a stronger, more united community." Tyler stood up, his expression a mix of skepticism and hope. "It's a start, Amelia, but words need to be backed by actions. We've heard promises before, and we're tired of empty gestures. Show us that you're committed to real change." Amelia nodded, her resolve unwavering. "I understand, Tyler. That's why I'm here, to take those first steps towards meaningful action. Let's work together to create programs, initiatives, and opportunities that benefit everyone in Willowbrook. Your voices matter, and I want to ensure they're heard and respected." As the meeting continued, Amelia facilitated discussions, encouraging participation from all sides. The path to reconciliation was beginning, one conversation at a time. She felt a sense of hope amidst the tension, knowing that progress was possible if everyone was willing to put in the effort. Amelia's journey is just beginning. Stay tuned to see how she navigates the complexities of leadership, prejudice, and community building in Willowbrook. What challenges do you think she'll face next? Share your thoughts below. The town hall meeting had been a significant step forward for Willowbrook, but Amelia Bennett knew that one meeting alone wouldn't resolve the deep-seated issues plaguing the community. As the weeks progressed, she threw herself into organizing programs, coordinating with local organizations, and maintaining open lines of communication with residents. Her dedication did not go unnoticed, and slowly, trust began to rebuild. One chilly Thursday evening, Amelia returned to Willowbrook Diner after a long shift at the hospital. The diner was quieter than usual, with only a few regulars scattered around. She approached her usual corner booth, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee offering a momentary sense of comfort. As she settled in, her phone buzzed with a new message from Mayor Thompson. "Urgent. Need your presence at the hospital immediately." Concern immediately crept into Amelia's heart. Something must have happened. Without hesitation, she grabbed her coat and rushed out of the diner, the crisp air biting at her cheeks. The drive to Willowbrook Hospital was swift, the streets still adorned with the soft glow of streetlights reflecting off the frost-kissed sidewalks. Upon arrival, Amelia was met by the sight of flashing red and blue lights outside the emergency entrance. Police tape cordoned off the area, and a small crowd had gathered, their murmurs filling the night air. She hurried inside, her mind racing with possibilities. Chief Officer Daniels approached her, his expression tense. "Amelia, thank goodness you're here. We need your expertise." Amelia followed him into the emergency room, where chaos reigned. In the center of the room lay a young black man, barely conscious, with visible injuries. Her heart sank as she recognized him, Jordan Ellis, a name that had surfaced in whispers around the hospital for months. "Jordan was brought in about an hour ago," Daniels explained, his tone serious. "He's in critical condition. There are suspicions that this wasn't an accident." Amelia approached Jordan's bedside, her professional facade masking the turmoil within. She began assessing his injuries, her hands steady, despite the rising anxiety. As she worked, her mind replayed the interactions from the previous days, the tension at the diner, Tyler's defiance, and the community's lingering distrust. Suddenly, a group of officers entered the room, led by a stern-faced man named Officer Thompson, no relation to Mayor Thompson. His presence immediately raised red flags for Amelia, a subtle but unmistakable reminder of the systemic biases that had been the root of Willowbrook's unrest. "Dr. Bennett," Officer Thompson began, his voice clipped. "We need to discuss Jordan Ellis's condition and the circumstances surrounding his arrival here." Amelia looked up, maintaining her composure. "Of course, Officer Thompson. What do you need to know?" Officer Thompson wasted no time. "There are allegations that Jordan was involved in a minor altercation on Elm Street prior to his arrival. Witnesses claim he was aggressive and resisted arrest." Amelia's eyes narrowed slightly. "And what brings him here? Was he unconscious when you found him?" One of the officers nodded. "Yes, he was brought in by paramedics. We believe the altercation escalated, leading to his current state." Amelia felt a chill run down her spine. The description of Jordan's behavior didn't match the young man she had treated countless times. Kind-hearted, ambitious, and full of potential. She knew that appearances could be deceiving, especially under duress. "Have you reviewed his medical records?" she asked, her tone neutral, yet probing. Officer Thompson hesitated, glancing at his colleagues before replying. "We've only accessed the necessary information related to the incident." Amelia took a deep breath, her mind working swiftly. Jordan's medical history shows no prior record of violent behavior. It's highly unlikely that someone with his background would suddenly become aggressive without a trigger. Officer Thompson's jaw tightened. "We don't have time for your opinions, Dr. Bennett. Our investigation needs to proceed without delay." Amelia stood her ground, her resolve hardening. "I'm not questioning your investigation, but I can provide a professional assessment of his injuries. It's crucial to understand the full context to determine the cause of his current condition." Officer Thompson scoffed, a hint of impatience creeping into his demeanor. "We're aware of your position in the community, Amelia, but right now, we need to focus on the facts at hand." Before Amelia could respond, the door swung open, and Mayor Thompson entered, her presence commanding attention. The room fell silent, the tension palpable. "Chief Officer, what's going on?" she demanded, her eyes flicking between Amelia and Officer Thompson. Daniels stepped forward, his expression grim. "Mayor, we have a situation with Jordan Ellis. There are allegations of foul play related to a street altercation." Amelia felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. She glanced at Jordan's barely conscious form, then back at the mayor. "Mayor, I believe there might be more to this story. Jordan is not the person these allegations suggest." Mayor Thompson's eyes softened slightly, but her authority remained unchallenged. Dr. Bennett, your opinion is valued, but we need to follow protocol, Chief. Proceed with the investigation. Officer Thompson nodded curtly, turning back to Amelia. We'll need you to fill out a report detailing your observations and Jordan's medical condition. Amelia complied, her mind racing to piece together the fragments of truth. As she documented her findings, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was another instance where systemic biases were clouding the judgment of those in power. Once the report was complete, Officer Thompson handed her a copy. Thank you, Dr. Bennett. We appreciate your cooperation. Amelia watched as the officers exited the room, the door closing with a definitive thud. She turned to Mayor Thompson, her expression a mix of concern and determination. Mayor, I urge you to look into Jordan's background thoroughly. There might be factors at play that aren't immediately apparent. Mayor Thompson sighed, running a hand through her hair. I understand your concerns, Amelia. But we have to balance the community's safety with individual rights. I'll take your input into consideration. As the meeting adjourned, Amelia left the hospital with a heavy heart. The incident with Jordan Ellis was more than just a medical emergency. It was a stark reminder of the prejudices that still festered within Willowbrook. She knew that addressing these issues would require more than just medical expertise. It would necessitate confronting the very systems that perpetuated discrimination and bias. That evening, Amelia attended another town hall meeting, this time with a more focused agenda. The room was filled with a mix of supportive residents and skeptics, all waiting to hear updates on the ongoing tensions. She took her seat, glancing around at the familiar faces, some nodding in support, others lingering with wary expressions. As the meeting progressed, discussions ranged from improving community services to enhancing law enforcement training. Amelia presented her findings on Jordan Ellis's case, emphasizing the importance of thorough investigations free from bias. Jordan's situation highlights a larger issue within our community, she stated, her voice steady. We need to ensure that our systems are fair and just, providing equal treatment for everyone, regardless of their background. Her words resonated with many, but not all were receptive. Tyler, still at the forefront of the community's frustrations, stood up once more. Dr. Bennett, we appreciate your input, but actions speak louder than words. We need real change, not just promises. Before Amelia could respond, a commotion erupted at the back of the room. A group of police officers, led by Officer Thompson, entered abruptly, their presence commanding immediate attention. The room fell silent, all eyes fixed on the newcomers. Mayor Thompson, we need to speak with you immediately, Officer Thompson announced, his tone authoritative. Mayor Thompson rose from her seat, concern etched on her face. What's the matter, Chief? Daniel stepped forward, his expression grave. There's been a breach in protocol. We need to address this situation without delay. Amelia felt her heart race as she exchanged a glance with Mayor Thompson. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, the room holding its collective breath. Officer Thompson turned to the crowd, his gaze sweeping over the attendees. Due to the ongoing investigation, we're implementing a temporary lockdown of the town hall. Everyone is required to stay seated until further notice. The room buzzed with murmurs and uneasy glances. Amelia felt a surge of frustration, sensing that the officers were stifling the very dialogue that was necessary for progress. Mayor Thompson raised her hands, attempting to calm the crowd. Please, everyone, remain calm. We're here to find solutions, not create more problems. But Officer Thompson was unyielding. This meeting is being adjourned. We'll handle this internally. As the officers began to usher people out, Amelia stood up, her voice cutting through the tension. Wait, this is our meeting, our opportunity to address these issues. Why are you disrupting us? Officer Thompson glanced at her, a hint of disdain in his eyes. We're enforcing protocol, Dr. Bennett, please. Leave the matter to the authorities. Amelia felt a flicker of anger, but she maintained her composure. Disrupting our meeting only serves to undermine the trust we're trying to build. We need transparency and open communication, not obstruction. Tyler stepped forward, his eyes locked on Officer Thompson. See, they're not interested in listening, they just want to control the narrative. Amelia placed a reassuring hand on Tyler's shoulder, her presence a calming force amidst the chaos. We can't let them silence us. We need to continue pushing for the changes our community deserves." Before anyone could respond, the sound of sirens wailed outside, growing louder with each passing second. Officer Daniels approached Amelia, his expression conflicted. "Dr. Bennett, please, let us handle this." But Amelia shook her head, her determination unwavering. "We need to stand up against this injustice. If the authorities aren't willing to listen, then it's up to us to make our voices heard." As the sirens reached their peak, Amelia felt the full weight of the moment pressing down on her. The clash between authority and community had reached a boiling point, and she knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges. The stakes were higher than ever, and the tension in Willowbrook was on the brink of an explosive confrontation. The town hall meeting had set the stage for a new era in Willowbrook, but the evening's events had left an indelible mark on Amelia Bennett. As she walked home through the snow-dusted streets, her mind replayed the confrontation with Officer Thompson and the unresolved tensions that simmered beneath the town's picturesque facade. The chilly air bit at her cheeks, but Amelia barely noticed, her thoughts consumed by the urgent need for meaningful change. The following morning, Willowbrook was cloaked in a thick blanket of fog, the streets eerily quiet as the town slowly awakened. Amelia arrived at the hospital early, determined to face the day's challenges head-on. Her phone buzzed incessantly with messages from Marcus, Mayor Thompson, and a few concerned residents eager to support her initiatives. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for the demanding day ahead. In her office, Amelia reviewed her notes from the previous town hall meeting. She had outlined several actionable steps to address the community's concerns, but she knew that words alone wouldn't suffice. The real test lay in her ability to implement these changes effectively while navigating the growing resistance from certain quarters of the town, particularly within the local police force. As she prepared for her shift, Amelia received a call from Mayor Thompson. "Amelia, thank you for attending the meeting yesterday. I wanted to discuss the next steps with you." Amelia nodded, though the mayor couldn't see her. "Of course, Mayor. I've been thinking about how we can accelerate the progress we need." "There's been an incident at the Willowbrook diner," Mayor Thompson informed her, her voice tinged with urgency. Tyler and some of his friends were confronted by Officer Thompson and his team. It escalated quickly, and now there are serious concerns about police conduct. Amelia felt a knot form in her stomach. The diner had become a flashpoint for the town's deeper issues, and the involvement of Officer Thompson, a figure representing systemic bias, was a critical development. What exactly happened? Mayor Thompson sighed. Tyler and his group were demanding better representation and accountability from the police officer. Thompson responded aggressively, trying to disperse the crowd. Things got out of hand, and now there are calls for an independent investigation into the police department's practices. Amelia leaned back in her chair, the gravity of the situation pressing down on her. This wasn't just a clash of opinions anymore. It was a battle against entrenched power structures. We need to ensure that this investigation is thorough and unbiased. The community's trust is at stake. I agree, the mayor replied. That's why I'm asking you to lead a committee to oversee the process. Your reputation for fairness and integrity makes you the ideal candidate. Amelia hesitated, the weight of the responsibility settling in. I appreciate the trust you're placing in me, Mayor. I'll do my best to ensure transparency and accountability. As she ended the call, Amelia felt a surge of determination. This was her chance to make a tangible difference, to address the systemic issues that had long plagued Willowbrook. But she also knew that this path would be fraught with challenges, including opposition from those who benefited from the status quo. Later that afternoon, Amelia attended her usual rounds at the hospital, her mind constantly shifting between patient care and the impending investigation. Her thoughts were interrupted by a familiar face. Marcus Hayes, standing in the hallway with a concerned expression. Amelia, he greeted her, stepping closer. I heard about the incident at the diner. Are you all right? She offered a reassuring smile. I'm fine, Marcus, but this situation with the police is serious. We need to approach it carefully to avoid further escalation. Marcus nodded, his eyes reflecting his unwavering support. I'm here to help in any way I can, whether it's organizing community meetings or gathering information. Just let me know. Amelia felt a sense of gratitude towards Marcus. His presence was a steadying force, reminding her that she wasn't alone in this fight. "Thank you, Marcus. Your support means a lot." As the day progressed, Amelia began strategizing with her team, outlining the framework for the independent investigation. They needed to establish a transparent process, inviting community members and external experts to ensure impartiality. The stakes were high. Not only was Amelia's reputation on the line, but so was the very fabric of Willowbrook's unity. That evening, Amelia attended another town hall meeting, this time to discuss the formation of the investigation committee. The room was filled with a mix of apprehension and hope, the atmosphere charged with anticipation. Mayor Thompson introduced Amelia to the assembled crowd. Her introduction met with a mixture of applause and skeptical murmurs. Amelia stepped forward, her presence commanding attention. "Thank you all for being here. I understand the frustration and mistrust that has built up over time. Our goal is to create a fair and thorough investigation into the recent incident and broader police practices. This committee will include members from diverse backgrounds to ensure that all voices are heard and respected." The crowd listened intently, but not everyone was convinced. Tyler stood up, his expression hardened with skepticism. "You say you want to help, but how do we know this isn't just another way for the authorities to control us? We need real change, not just lip service." Amelia met his gaze, her resolve unshaken. "I understand your concerns, Tyler. That's why the committee will include independent members who are not affiliated with the police department or local government. Transparency is our top priority." Before Tyler could respond, Officer Thompson entered the room, his presence immediately altering the dynamic. His eyes locked onto Amelia, a flicker of disdain evident beneath his stern exterior. "Dr. Bennett, a word please," he demanded, motioning for her to follow him to a secluded corner of the room. Amelia hesitated, sensing the tension, but followed the officer. "What is it, Officer Thompson?" He leaned in close, his voice low and threatening. "You're overstepping your boundaries, Amelia. This investigation could jeopardize the entire police department. I suggest you tread carefully." Amelia felt a surge of anger, but kept her composure. "Officer Thompson, this isn't about targeting the police, it's about ensuring accountability and building trust within our community. I'm only asking for a fair process." He straightened up, his expression unchanging. "Just remember, some things are better left untouched. Don't let your emotions cloud your judgment." With that, he turned and walked away, leaving Amelia standing in the corner, her frustration bubbling beneath the surface. She realized that the opposition she was facing wasn't just a one-time event. It was an entrenched system, resistant to change. Returning to the meeting, Amelia took her seat, her mind racing with strategies to counteract the growing hostility. She knew that navigating this conflict would require not only professional expertise, but also emotional resilience. The systemic biases she was confronting were deeply rooted, and overcoming them would demand unwavering determination. As the meeting concluded, a sudden commotion erupted at the front of the room. A group of police officers had entered, their presence filling the space with an air of intimidation. Officer Daniels stood at the forefront, his expression stern. "Mayor Thompson, we need to speak with you immediately," he announced, causing the room to hush in apprehension. Mayor Thompson approached him, her demeanor calm but serious. "What's the matter, Chief?" Daniels hesitated, glancing toward Amelia. "There have been allegations of misconduct within the committee formation process. We believe there's undue influence being exerted." Amelia's heart pounded in her chest. "I assure you, Chief, the process has been entirely transparent and community-driven. There's no room for bias or manipulation." Daniels fixed his gaze on her, a hint of accusation in his eyes. "We need to investigate these claims. Until then, we recommend pausing all committee activities." Amelia felt a wave of frustration and helplessness wash over her. Pausing the committee will only erode the trust we're trying to rebuild. We need to address the concerns head-on, not shut down the conversation. Officer Thompson stepped forward, his voice cutting through the tension. "This is a matter of protocol, Amelia. We have to follow proper procedures to ensure the integrity of the investigation." Mayor Thompson placed a hand on Amelia's shoulder, her support evident. "Chief, let's not rush to conclusions. We need to hear Amelia out and understand her perspective before making any decisions." Daniels sighed, the weight of the situation evident. "Very well, Mayor. but the investigation must proceed with the utmost scrutiny. As the officers began to disperse, Amelia felt the stakes reach their zenith. The independent investigation she had worked so hard to establish was now under threat from within the very system she sought to reform. The realization that her efforts were being actively undermined ignited a fire within her, a determination to fight for justice and equality, no matter the personal cost. That night, Amelia sat in her modest living room, the flickering light of her desk lamp casting shadows on the walls. She reflected on the day's events, the escalating conflict, and the obstacles that lay ahead. Her mind churned with thoughts of strategy, alliances, and the unwavering commitment she had to her community. Her phone buzzed with a new message from Marcus. "We need to gather more support. Let's organize a peaceful protest to show the community we stand united against these unjust actions." She pondered the suggestion, knowing that public demonstrations could further inflame tensions, but also recognizing the power of collective action. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed again with a call from Mayor Thompson. "Amelia, can you come to my office? We need to discuss the next steps." Amelia grabbed her coat and headed out into the cold night, the weight of her responsibilities heavy on her shoulders. The drive to the mayor's office was swift, the town's lights blurred by the falling snow. When she arrived, Mayor Thompson was already waiting, her expression a mix of concern and determination. "Amelia, we need to address the interference in the committee's formation. It's clear that there are forces at play trying to derail our efforts," the mayor began, her voice firm. Amelia nodded, her resolve strengthening. "I agree. We need to find allies within the community who can support our cause and help protect the integrity of the investigation." Mayor Thompson glanced at her, a spark of inspiration in her eyes. "There's someone you should meet, Mitchell Adams, a local lawyer and community advocate. He's been vocal about the need for transparency and fairness. I think he could be a valuable ally." Amelia's heart lifted slightly at the mention of Mitchell. A well-respected figure in Willowbrook, Mitchell was known for his unwavering commitment to justice and his ability to navigate complex legal landscapes. "I'll reach out to him immediately." "Thank you, Mayor." As she left the mayor's office, Amelia felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that the path ahead would be arduous, filled with resistance and challenges, but she was determined to persevere. The systemic biases that threatened Willowbrook's unity were formidable, but with allies like Marcus and Mitchell, she believed that meaningful change was possible. The following days were a whirlwind of activity. Amelia met with Mitchell, outlining the situation and strategizing ways to counteract the police's interference. Together, they began mobilizing community support, organizing peaceful protests, and leveraging media platforms to highlight the need for transparency and accountability. One evening, as Amelia was reviewing plans for the upcoming protest, her phone buzzed with an urgent message. "Meet me at the diner. It's important." The sender was anonymous, heightening her sense of unease. She knew she had to proceed with caution, balancing her commitment to justice with the potential risks of uncovering deeper corruption. She arrived at the diner just as the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the snow-covered streets. The diner was mostly empty, the only sound the faint clinking of utensils and the soft hum of the refrigerator. Amelia approached her usual corner booth, her eyes scanning the room for any sign of movement. A moment later, a figure slid into the seat opposite her, a woman in her late 30s, her face partially obscured by a hooded jacket. "Amelia Bennett," the woman began, her voice low and urgent. "I have information that could expose the corruption within the police department, but you need to be careful. They're watching." Amelia leaned forward, her heart pounding. "Who are you? How do I know I can trust you?" The woman hesitated, then pulled back her hood, revealing a determined expression and piercing eyes. "My name is Rachel Simmons. I used to work in the Internal Affairs Division. I have evidence of Officer Thompson's misconduct and connections to higher-ups who are involved in covering up these incidents." Amelia felt a surge of hope mixed with trepidation. "Why are you coming to me? Why not go through official channels?" Rachel's gaze hardened. "Because the official channels are compromised. They can't be trusted to act impartially. You're the one who's been advocating for transparency and fairness. I believe you can make a difference." Amelia took a deep breath, processing the information. "What kind of evidence do you have?" Rachel reached into her bag and pulled out a USB drive, sliding it across the table. This contains emails, recordings, and financial records that link Officer Thompson to illegal activities and cover-ups. It's all documented and ready to be presented to the committee. Amelia picked up the USB drive, her mind racing with possibilities. This could be the breakthrough we need, but we have to be careful. If they find out you're involved, it could put both of us in danger. Rachel nodded, her eyes meeting Amelia's with unwavering resolve. I know the risks, but something has to be done. Willowbrook deserves better. Before Amelia could respond, the door to the diner swung open with a loud crash, and Officer Daniels stormed inside, his eyes darting suspiciously around the room. What's going on here? He demanded, his gaze locking onto Amelia and Rachel. Amelia stood up slowly, maintaining her composure despite the rising panic. Officer Daniels, this is Rachel Simmons. She has information that could be vital to our investigation. Daniels's eyes narrowed, suspicion evident in his expression. I don't know what you're talking about. Why are you meeting in a public place like this? Rachel stepped forward, her voice steady. Because we need to ensure the safety of the information, and ourselves. Amelia is leading the committee, and this evidence needs to be presented without interference. Daniels took a step closer, his demeanor threatening. I suggest you both cease this discussion immediately. You're disrupting the peace, and we have protocols to follow. Amelia felt the tension reach its peak, the room holding its breath as the situation teetered on the edge of confrontation. We're not here to cause trouble, Officer Daniels. We're here to seek justice and transparency for our community. Daniels' face hardened, his authority unchallenged. I'm afraid I have to ask you both to leave the premises. Any further disruption will result in arrest. Rachel glared at him defiantly. You can't silence us, Daniels. The community deserves the truth. Amelia felt a surge of anger, but maintained her calm. We have every right to discuss these matters. We're not breaking any laws. Daniels sighed, clearly exasperated. I'm going to have to take you both outside to discuss this further. He motioned to two other officers, who approached with caution. As Amelia and Rachel stood up, the room seemed to close in around them. The weight of the impending confrontation pressing down. Mayor Thompson, who had been observing the scene from the back, stepped forward, her presence a beacon of support. Officer Daniels, there's no need for this to escalate, she implored, her voice firm, yet composed. Let's handle this with the professionalism and integrity that Willowbrook deserves. Daniels turned to the mayor, his expression conflicted. Mayor, I'm just doing my duty. These individuals are causing a disturbance. Mayor Thompson placed a reassuring hand on Amelia's shoulder. Amelia has been working tirelessly to address the community's concerns. We need to support her efforts, not hinder them. Daniels hesitated, the tension between duty and the mayor's support evident. Very well, Mayor, but we need to ensure that everything remains orderly. With a final stern look, Daniels turned and led Amelia and Rachel outside, the cold night air enveloping them as they walked toward the police cars. The crowd inside the diner watched in silence, the weight of the moment settling over them. As they approached the patrol car, Daniels stopped and faced Amelia, his expression unreadable. Dr. Bennett, I suggest you reconsider your involvement in this matter. There are forces at play that you might not fully understand. Amelia met his gaze, her resolve unshaken. I understand exactly what's at stake. Officer Daniels. Willowbrook's future depends on our ability to confront and rectify these issues. I won't back down. Daniels' eyes flickered with a mixture of frustration and something else Amelia couldn't quite identify. You're playing a dangerous game, Amelia. Be careful. With that, he gestured for the officers to guide them to the back of the patrol car. Amelia and Rachel climbed in, the cold metal pressing against their skin as they sat in silence, the gravity of the situation sinking in. As the car pulled away from the diner, Amelia glanced over at Rachel, who offered a reassuring nod. We're not alone in this. The community is behind us, and with the evidence you have, we can make a real difference. Amelia took a deep breath, her mind racing with plans and strategies. They needed to present the evidence to the committee in a way that couldn't be dismissed or manipulated by those in power. She knew that the path ahead would be fraught with obstacles, but her determination to see Willowbrook thrive outweighed the fears that threatened to consume her. The car sped through the snow-covered streets, the town's lights flickering past in a blur, Amelia knew that this was the turning point, the moment when everything could change. The stakes were higher than ever, and the tension was palpable, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Amelia is on the brink of uncovering the deep-rooted corruption within Willowbrook's police force. Stay tuned to witness how she navigates this perilous journey and takes a stand for justice and equality. What will Amelia do next? Share your predictions in the comments below.